کنفرانس جهانی همزمان با اعلام حکم دادگاه. ارتباط زنده آنلاین با مجاهدین در اشرف 3، دادگاه آنتورپ، شخصیتهای بین المللی و شاکیان خصوصی و یاران شورشگر. 3000 نقطه در 40 کشور جهان. پنجشنبه 4 فوریه 2021 16 بهمن.
سخنرانیهای استفن هارپر، نخست وزیر پیشین کانادا، جولیو ترسی، وزیر خارجه سابق ایتالیا، بارونس هریس، عضو مجلس اعیان انگلستان و اسدی مکی از مجلس عوام، ژان پیر برار از فرانسه، و جانا گانچا، نماینده پارلمان اروپا از ایتالیا.
استفن هارپر، نخست وزیر کانادا، 2006-2015. رژیم ایران بزرگترین حامی تروریسم در جهان است و تعجبی ندارد که چنین اقدام تروریستی علیه شورای ملی مقاومت ایران انجام دهد، چرا که این مقاومت بزرگترین اپوزیسیون رژیم است و به طور خستگی ناپذیر شرارت‌ها، جنایت‌ها و وحشیگری‌های رژیم را افشا می‌کند.
جولیو ترسی، وزیر خارجه ایتالیا، 2013. این توطئه مشخصاً از جانب رهبر رژیم علی خامنه‌ای و رئیس جمهورش حسن روحانی انجام شده است. علاوه بر این، وزیر خارجه رژیم ایران جواد ظریف در اقدامات تروریستی مشارکت داشته و دارد. زمان محکوم کردن شدید و متوقف کردن استفاده رژیم از پوش دیپلماتیک برای اجرای حملات تروریستی فرا رسیده است.
بارونس آنجلا هریس، عضو مجلس اعیان انگلستان: من ملت‌های دموکراتیک را به لیست گذاری سپاه پاسداران به عنوان یک سازمان تروریستی خارجی فرا می‌خوانم.
اسدی مکی، عضو مجلس عوام انگلستان: اینک زمان اقدام شدیدتر، تحریم‌های قوی‌تر، کاهش امتیازات دیپلماتیک و بازبینی روابط درازمدت‌تر غرب با این رژیم است. ژان پیر برار، عضو مجلس ملی فرانسه، 1988 تا 2012. جواد ظریف که نقش موجه جلوه دادن یک دیکتاتوری را ایفا می‌کرد، دیگر نمی‌تواند این نقش دوگانه را بازی کند. حکم دادگاه بلژیک یک هشدار و اخطار به همه تروریست هاست.
جانا گانچا، نماینده پارلمان اروپا از ایتالیا: حکم دادگاه بلژیک آغاز پایان مصونیت رژیم ایران از مجازات است. یک واکنش قوی‌تر اروپایی در مقابل فعالیت‌های تهدیدآمیز رژیم ایران در اروپا ضروری است.
Merci beaucoup, and greetings to all my friends at the National Council of Resistance of Iran and to your entire global network. In 2018, I attended the NCRI's Free Iran rally for the first time. It was in Paris, and it was one of the largest and most impressive events I've ever participated in. We did not know then that Iranian government agents were planning to disrupt that event through terrorism and murder. Those individuals have been put on trial, where they have faced undeniable evidence of their intent to commit those crimes. We did not know that then, but we would not have been surprised. This is what the Islamic Republic in Tehran, the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, does. And it is no surprise that such actions would be directed against you, the NCRI, which is the regime's largest opposition, and which works relentlessly to expose its malevolence, its brutality, and its crimes. And continue that fight until victory is achieved. Your friends around the world are with you. Merci beaucoup.
Mrs. Mariam Rajavi, President-elect of the National Council of Resistance, Iran. Today, for all the friends of the resistance and all the friends of the true friends of the Iranian people, is a moment of great joy. Is a great joy because justice has been rendered. So rare, but so real. Justice rendered today. And this is a satisfaction, a moment when we have to believe also that justice rendered so rarely must be rendered again for other extremely important instances, which are the crimes committed by the heinous regime of the mullahs. Justice must be rendered for the 1988 massacre, for the individual killings of people, dignitaries belonging to the resistance, for political refugees in Europe. And today it is, as you said, Madame Rajavi, it is the conviction of the regime. It is the day. Today is the day. Is the day when the entire world, especially those who still appease the mullah's regime, must become aware that the mask is finally off, that the Iranian regime is a certified and with the evidence given and decided by a court, a very important court in Antwerp, the Iranian regime is a terrorist state. The Asadi and his accomplices trial has already gone a long way toward publicly revealing how the terrorist plot was undertaken with the full knowledge and the blessing of the Iranian authorities. The judges have established that Asadi acted on behalf of the state of Iran. There were reports that the regime's blessing came specifically from both the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and the President Hassan Rouhani. And this underscores the fundamental unity between the so-called hardline and so-called reformist factions that share power within the regime. It is furthermore with the knowledge of Foreign Minister Javad Zarif that Iran has been engaged and is engaging in acts of terrorism. In fact, the regime, and in particular Foreign Minister Zarif, are criminally using the kidnapping of foreign or dual citizens. It is now the time to strongly condemn and halt the regime's use of diplomatic cover to carry out terrorist attacks. First and foremost, the closure of all its embassies and the expulsion of its ambassador and diplomats every time there is an evidence of terrorist activity or support that is detected by the European state intelligences or police. With no more hesitation, European leaders must recognize in dealing with Iran that is a regime which is the #1 in the world as state sponsor of terrorism, a regime which fuels wars by proxies in the entire Middle East, which support murderous, corrupt dictators in their grasp on power, which props up by contributing to their illicit trade every sort of international outlaws, of criminal organizations and individuals. European-Iranian relations must be made contingent upon the regime taking concrete steps to dismantle its terrorist infrastructure and halt its malign activity, especially on Western soil. Now it is the time, today is the day for a new approach to tackle the terror regime. And today's Antwerp verdict represents the watershed that nails down its responsibilities an entire regime that slaughters its own people and that must no longer remain unpunished by the international community. And in fact, we must be overthrown by the uprising of the Iranian people and the action of the National Council of Resistance of Iran and the support of all its friends around the world. Thank you so much.
This historic victory in the courts is very welcome, and I congratulate Madame Rajavi and the NCRI and the people of Iran. Iran's use of state terrorism is totally unacceptable, as is their continuing illegal killing, murdering of their own citizens. No civilized country can support this regime. And I call upon democratic nations to proscribe the IRGC as a foreign terrorist organization.
Madam Rajavi, friends in Ashraf 3, I'm very pleased to be able to join you today. These are historic events in Antwerp. A diplomat from the Iranian regime has been found guilty of a terrorist plot and given the maximum sentence of 20 years. But it's not just Asdallah, Asdi and his co-conspirators who are guilty. His masters in Tehran must also be held accountable. If there's a symmetry about today's speeches, it's because we've all come to similar conclusions. This trial has exposed for all to see how the Iranian authorities show contempt for diplomatic conventions by using their embassies and diplomatic missions to export terror and carry out terrorist operations. That's not how a normal government behaves, even at times of genuine difference, tensions, and difficulties. It's the actions of a pariah state, a regime that for years has taken advantage of diplomatic privileges and opportunities, not to further understanding, improve communication, and resolve difficulties, but to plan, export, and support terrorist activity and murder around the globe. Today's sentence is proof of what they have denied for so long. Asdallah Asadi didn't deny the charges or express any regret. Instead, he asserted that the diplomatic status conferred on him by his masters in Tehran meant he was above the law and should go free. He refused to recognize the court in Antwerp. He showed contempt for the Belgian people, contempt for the French people, and utter disdain for the hundreds of innocent people he planned to murder. The Iranian foreign minister defended him. The Iranian authorities had the temerity to accuse the French, German, and Belgians of violating diplomatic norms. Violating diplomatic norms for apprehending a terrorist, foiling a bomb plot, and prosecuting the culprits. That tells you all you need to know. He and his co-conspirators have got the sentence justice demands. The West now needs to show steely determination in making sure it's carried out. There can be no backdoor deals, no let-off, no swaps for innocent hostages seized by the mullahs for the express purpose of using them as bargaining chips with the deliberate intention of seeking the release of terrorists like Asdallah. This is the time for tougher action, stronger sanctions, reduced diplomatic privileges, and reconsideration of our longer-term relations with this regime. I believe we can't do business with them because we can't ever trust them, and there's no point in pretending otherwise. Terrorists are terrorists, no matter how they dress or what they call themselves. And terrorists can't represent legitimate governments. They can't negotiate with democratic governments, and they can't enjoy conventional diplomatic relations. They're a cancer, and they should be rooted out. Thank you.
Madame la Présidente, chers amis, il s'est passé aujourd'hui en Belgique quelque chose de très important. La justice belge a rendu son verdict. Ainsi, elle a condamné clairement le terrorisme d'État de la République islamique. Tout le monde sait quel était l'enjeu pour les ayatollahs, c'est provoquer un attentat très barbare et qui aurait provoqué de nombreuses victimes lors du meeting traditionnel organisé par l'organisation des Mujahideen du peuple d'Iran. Et pour cela, la dictature de Téhéran avait utilisé ses diplomates, ou plutôt elle a habillé des terroristes en diplomates. Et la justice belge, en coopération avec les autorités allemandes et les autorités françaises, ont arrêté les coupables et malgré les pressions de la tyrannie religieuse qui dirige l'Iran aujourd'hui, la justice belge ne s'est pas laissée impressionner. Ainsi donc, le ministre des Affaires étrangères d'Iran, M. Javad Zarif, qui donne un visage souriant à la tyrannie, il ne pourra plus jouer double jeu puisqu'il était l'un des organisateurs du crime. Et le jugement, le verdict de la justice belge est un avertissement pour tous les terroristes, mais c'est un encouragement aussi pour tous ceux qui combattent en solidarité avec le peuple d'Iran pour se débarrasser de la dictature religieuse. Ainsi, chacun doit savoir que les diplomates ne peuvent pas être des terroristes à leurs heures perdues. Ils doivent faire leur travail de diplomate et la tyrannie religieuse ne peut pas utiliser des diplomates ou plutôt déguiser des terroristes en diplomates pour mener ces mauvais coups. Alors, Madame la Présidente, en fin de compte, justice est aujourd'hui rendue. Nous pouvons tous nous en féliciter et un pas de plus est réalisé aujourd'hui vers la libération du peuple iranien qui la devra d'abord à ses efforts pour combattre la dictature. Merci.
Cara signora Rajavi, cari amici, cari colleghi, oggi è un giorno molto importante per noi in Europa, perché i nostri valori, l'Europa che avevamo immaginato, quindi un'Europa democratica, prosperosa, sicura, ecco, in questa Europa i nostri valori vengono difesi. Io ritengo che però sia anche un piccolo bel giorno del popolo iraniano e per il popolo iraniano, la resistenza iraniana, perché l'inizio probabilmente della fine dell'impunità del regime iraniano. In qualità di membro del Parlamento europeo chiedo al vicepresidente della Commissione, l'alto rappresentante dell'Unione per gli affari esteri e la politica di sicurezza, per capire che il comportamento da parte della diplomazia è quello di avere una prova forte di una politica più ferma contro le attività minacciose del regime iraniano proprio in Europa. È necessaria una reazione europea più ferma all'attività del regime. E quindi in una lettera congiunta con altri 7 colleghi del Parlamento europeo che sono provenienti da gruppi diversi, da gruppi politici diversi ma anche da paesi diversi, abbiamo ribadito la nostra preoccupazione e scritto proprio in questa lettera che è giunto il momento di ridurre le relazioni diplomatiche con l'Iran e anche, perché no, magari ritirare gli ambasciatori da Teheran e chiedere all'Iran un forte segnale, ma soprattutto la garanzia che metterà fine a tutte le attività terroristiche e anche di spionaggio in Europa. Continuiamo a lavorare e in ogni caso mi congratulo con voi per tutti i vostri sforzi e tutto il vostro lavoro e sono sicura che questo momento sarà di ispirazione per il popolo dell'Iran che ci sta guardando. Sono con voi e sarò con voi fino al giorno in cui l'Iran sarà libero e democratico e ritengo che proprio allora il mondo sarà un posto più sicuro per tutti. Vi ringrazio.